it with you. You go out on a simple, innocuous case, and you end up almost getting yourself killed.
Anything I can do for you before I go, Mr. Ray? Anything I can do for you? It's 4 o'clock.
Oh, yes. So it is. Oh, I can't think of a thing, Mrs. Fields.
Well, have a good evening.
Thank you. What the devil's going on, Jim? It's been a week since we talked.
I know, Sam, but I'm sorry.
Have you seen Althea?
Not yet.
Then I'm going to see her.
Sam, you know that Althea doesn't see anybody except the Grants and me.
She'll see me. You seem to forget we go back a long way, Althea and I.
I'll talk to her tomorrow. I'll get back to you before noon.
You're all right, but no later, Jim. The girl's alone now, and I think after 25 years, there's no harm telling her the truth. You tell Althea that.
Mr. Ray?
Will you try to listen to some kind of reason? Look, Hello.
Hello, Matthew. How was your picnic?
Oh, you don't want to know, Ethel. Believe me, you don't want to know.
Oh, well, in that case, we can get right down to work.
Work?
This woman has been trying to reach you all day. She's in a terrible state. She's crying.
All right. Well, what's her number? I'll call her back later.
Well, Matthew?
All right, what did you do now, Ethel?
Well, she sounded desperate, almost hysterical. So I told her you'd meet her this afternoon at 3.
Oh, no, but...
She's trying to locate her parents, Matthew.
Look, Ethel...
All my other lines are ringing off the hook. Now, the address is...
Uh-huh. Yeah. Okay, Ethel. Thank you very much. This is just not my day.
Obviously.
Kronsky,
You just can't blame this on me.
My first day off in 3 months.
Oh, boy.
Oh, I haven't started yet.
Look, Kronsky, I just don't see how you can blame me for a bunch of ants.
You might have checked the ground before you spread the blanket right on top of their home.
Well,
Now, if you'll excuse me, Nature Boy, I'm going to take a shower.
now look, I don't see why you're making such a federal case out of just a bunch of ants. You know, it's, we were just sitting on the grass and
It started when I stood at the grave of my parents, my adopted parents. And suddenly I just felt cheated.
Of what?
Look, I loved my parents. But when I found out they weren't my real parents, I just felt that I had to do something.
But for all intents and purposes, they were your real parents.
I know that, intellectually.
But emotionally, you're not getting the message, are you?
Exactly. Look, Matt, I just have to find out who my real parents are and why they felt it was necessary to give me away.
You know, there could be a million reasons. And they could be all valid, Pat. And others, well, listen, you may not want to know.
I'm aware of that. But I feel... there are those emotions again. Look, I feel I have to try. Can you understand that?
Sure I can. Which is why I'm going to do everything I can to help you. You tell me something. Tell me, was the adoption, was it handled through an agency?
I don't know.
But you're sure it was here in Los Angeles?
Yes.
How do you know that, Pat?
Well, I came across an old address book of my parents. My adopted parents. And I started going through it, calling and writing every name in it. Everything was a dead end. Till I came to a man named Sam Ray.
Sam Ray? You mean the attorney who was murdered the other day?
He knew something.
What?
He talked about lawyers having to protect the confidentiality of clients, but after all of these years, he thought...
Go on.
He said he would get back to me. But then I read in the paper that he was killed by a burglar.
Yeah. Hey, look, Pat, I have a lady friend named Kronsky. Now, when she's on a downer the way you are now, you know what she does? She goes out and she blows herself to the biggest hot fudge sundae she can find. I tell you, it works every time. Why don't you give it a try? Come on. Would you try it for me?
Yes.
Okay. Good afternoon, ma'am.
Well,
My name's Helm.
so?
Well, a friend of mine works in the county clerk's office.
Well,
My friend's friend told me to ask for Mrs. Stump.
well,
You're Mrs. Stump?
so?
Well, I'm looking for the records of an adoption proceeding. Now, I don't have the exact date, but I do have the file number. There you are.
What's the name of your friend's friend at the county clerk's office?
Jones. John Jones.
Did he tell you that the information you're asking for is confidential and can only be obtained by a court order?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but he thought that perhaps in this instance you might see your way clear to making an exception.
I don't see how I can do that.
Well, I know that your time is valuable, and I'd only be too happy to pay for any inconvenience you might encounter. Who are you calling?
The police.
The police?
To report an attempted bribe of a public employee. What did you say your name was, love?
Mud.
I am disappointed in you, Matt. Surprised, shocked, and disappointed.
Disappointed I'm not in jail?
You're lucky you're not.
Well, how did I know I was going to run into an honest public servant? Do you know what the odds are against that?
That's not funny.
Okay, Kronsky, okay. But I didn't find Patricia Kirkland a barrel of laughs either.
I'm sure you didn't.
Well, then do something about it.
Matt, I cannot pluck a court order out of thin air. There'd have to be openings of the hearing for adoption, and Lord knows when we'd get that on the calendar.
Tell me, what's the name of that pleasant lady who just got transferred out of juvenile court?
Judge Chambers.
Judge Chambers, that's it. Now, you give her a good story, Kronsky.
Patricia Kirkland's a shambles on the verge of an emotional breakdown. Ham it up like you do to a jury.
Like I do to a jury.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I have no intention of going to jail for perjury.
Well, listen, I hope not. I've got great plans for us.
Oh, I bet it doesn't include time off for good behavior.
Do you know that I hear music? Oh, it's so lovely.
Man, what are you doing? Look,
we're dancing.
why don't you get out of here and let me go to work on it?
First, Mrs. Stump, now you. Rejected twice in one afternoon, really. I don't know how much a man can take.
Why don't you just try to live with it? Come along. Come on.
Don't work too hard.
Mr. McKittrick.
We weren't expecting you until tomorrow.
We'd better have a talk.
Certainly. Oh, it's time for Mrs. Mayberry's drive, Stella.
Have you heard the news?
Would you care for a drink? Brandy or scotch?
Brandy. Judge Chambers granted Patricia Kirkland a hearing tomorrow.
This is an excellent year. It was Mr. Mayberry's favorite.
Are you solid ice all the way through?
No, not by nature. It was something I acquired by observing Mr. Mayberry through the years before his death. He wasn't a man without emotion, but he learned the secret of controlling it. It was quite simple.
Yes?
Yes. He never crossed a bridge until he came to it. Or hesitated to burn one behind him.
Well, we'll be crossing one tomorrow. And if the judge grants Miss Kirkland's petition, everything could hit the fan.
Yes, but that's tomorrow. I must take Mrs. Mayberry for her drive. Excuse me.
I thought you were terrific. Your name is Kronsky.
Oh, just call me Kronsky.
Oh, what's your first name?
Well, actually, she doesn't have any. She comes from a very poor family.
I don't care where you come from. I thought you were marvelous.
Well, a lawyer can't accomplish much without a convincing client.
Well, how about we recess this meeting of the Kronsky-Kirkland Mutual Admiration Society while I go wave this court order of Mrs. Stump's on his face, huh? Later for you.
Bye.
Bye.
But there was a fire inspector here just a couple of months ago.
It's the new department policy, ma'am. We're keeping closer tabs on these older buildings.
Okay, help yourself.
Thank you.
You remember me?
No.
Mr. Mudge.
Oh, yeah.
I want to apologize for assuming that you do anything illegal.
That doesn't matter.
The battalion chief spoke to me, and he said that the fire was in the northeast corner of the building. Section C, room 9.
Well?
I was wondering if the file I was asking for was stored there. Here's the number.
Yes.
Well, the battalion chief said he still doesn't know how the fire started. Do you have any idea?
No.
Did any unauthorized person get into the storage area?
Not without our letterman. And you didn't make it, did you?
No, I didn't.
Nobody was back there except them that worked there. Except the fire inspector.
Fire inspector?
Looked the building over and said everything was fine.
When was this?
About an hour before the fire started. Funny how things happen, isn't it?
Yes, yes, yes. Very funny indeed. Very funny indeed. Thank you very much.
Oh, it's a wonder there are any Japanese left in this world. I'm surprised that they didn't all starve to death before they learned to use these things. May I have a fork, please?
Certainly, sir.
Oh, that's tacky, Henry.
What is?
Eating Oriental food with a fork.
Well, it may be tacky, but I'd rather eat it than wear it. So you think that warehouse fire was started by a guy who posed as a fire inspector and used a delayed action torch?
One coincidence I might buy, but two coincidences? No way.
Two coincidences?
The murder of Sam Ray less than a week after talking to Patricia Kirkland.
What?
And hinting he might be able to put her in touch with her real parents.
Yeah, well, Hollywood division's going on the theory that Ray surprised someone burglarizing his house.
I know, and it's a logical assumption. There have been a rash of burglaries in that neighborhood.
Your fork, sir.
Ah, thank you. Thank you. Well, listen. Sergeant Rhodes is handling the Ray case. I'll talk to him. If that warehouse was torched, well, then arson squad will pin it. Aha. Khaki, Would you look at that?
Made in Japan. Were you here when she visited Mr. Ray?
Yes.
Did he say anything to you after she left? For example, discuss her problem?
No. Well, he said she was a nice lady and that he hoped he could help her.
My dear friend Sam, with thanks. Love, Althea. I wonder how he helped her.
I don't know.
Mr. Ray was a widower, wasn't he?
Yes.
Any children?
No. No relatives.
So what happens now?
Well, that's up to Mr. McKittrick.
McKittrick?
Mr. Ray's former law partner. He's the executive of the estate.
Patricia Kirkland. Patricia Kirkland. No. No, the name means nothing to me.
Mr. Ray never mentioned her to you?
No. Who, is Miss Kirkland?
No, thank you. That's what she'd like to know.
I don't understand you.
Well, she was put up for adoption over 30 years ago. Sam Ray handled it.
Yes.
Well, Miss Kirkland contacted him a few days before he was killed. And he gave her the distinct impression he was going to contact her real parents.
Well, now, are you, suggesting that this has something to do with Sam's death?
No, I'm not suggesting anything of the kind. It's a possibility.
Yes. Now, you say the adoption was made about 30 years ago.
Approximately.
That's a long time.
Mm-hmm. But the firm might have the files on the case.
Yes, we might. I'll have a search made. May take a little time. Files going back that far are probably put into storage.
In a fireproof building, I hope.
Of course.
Thank you very much for your time, Mr. McKittrick.
My pleasure.
Goodbye.
What are you doing here? Come for your brass ring?
I take it I was correct.
On the nose. The fire was no accident. Arson found the makings.
Huh? Tell me, what about the fire inspector?
We ran a check. There was no inspector in that area that day.
You know something, Hanrahan, if I'm so smart, why am I in this business?
Same reason I am. You love it.
I will never ask you that question again. You love it.
Helm?
Yes, Helm. Matt Helm.
And what do you think he knows?
That Sam Ray's death had something to do with the Kirkwood girl.
What makes you think that?
Why would he come to see me if he didn't have, I don't know, some idea about
Probably on
something?
a fishing expedition. From your reaction, I'm afraid he caught the limit.
I'm the one who had to face Helm today, and I'm the one who's going to have to face him when I don't produce the papers he wants from Sam Ray's files.
Well, then there's only one answer, isn't there? I'll arrange it so you don't have to face Mr. Helm again.
Morning, Ethel.
Good morning, Matthew. My, we sound chipper this morning.
Well, is there any reason why you shouldn't?
None at all. Except,
Except what, Ethel? Out with it.
Kronsky called, said she'd be late for the breakfast meeting. You're to go on without her, and she'd meet you there.
Okay, fine.
And Matthew?
Yes, Ethel.
She asked that you not wear your new green shirt. She hates it.
Well, you tell Kronsky in the words of an old Greek philosopher. That's tough.
Let's go.
not paying for mistakes.
We know that, Mr. Grant.
Yeah, but now Helm knows someone is after him, and he's going to be more cautious.
Don't worry.
Yeah, but I do worry. You see? All right, what's done is done. It can't be changed. Tate, get over to this address. Watch for the Kirkland woman. Keep an eye on her. Follow her wherever she goes.
Tricia? Pat?
I tried to call him. When there was no answer, I got kind of worried.
I went out with some friends. Matt Helm, Amanda, Alex, Miller.
How do you do? How do you do?
Amanda and I went to school together. Matt, is anything wrong?
I'm not sure. Mr. Miller, do you live near here?
Not too far.
Do me a favor and take Patricia home with you, would you?
Why?
Just do me that favor, Pat.
I'll help you pack your bag.
Mr. Helm, could you tell me what's going on here?
Well, I haven't been able to figure it out yet, but I can tell you this. It's a hell of a lot bigger than I thought. I don't want Pat left alone. Not for 1 minute. Okay? All right. Nice meeting you.
Likewise.
Sometimes I think you're more trouble than you're worth.
Well, and a good day to you, too, Henry.
Come on. I'll buy you lunch.
You're going to buy me lunch?
You heard me.
Well, that's great. Where?
Right there. What are you going to have?
I'll have coffee and a bicarbonate for dessert.
2 coffees, and I'll have a ham and cheese sandwich.
Okay, let's have it, Henry.
You're stepping on toes, Matt.
Ah.
My sandwich.
It's yours, all right. Whose toes?
Althea Mayberry's.
Uh-huh. So?
Matt, you're talking about a legend in the movie business. She has cult followers all over the world.
And consequently swings a lot of weight, huh?
Exactly. And you are, quote, disturbing her well-being and intruding on her privacy, unquote. And I've got orders to tell you to lay on.
All right, you've told me. But do you know that someone's been trying to kill yours truly?
Can you prove that that has anything to do with Althea Mayberry?
No, nothing concrete.
Then lay on.
Whatever you say.
Now, I mean it, Matt.
Whatever you say.
But if you should happen to come up with anything, you'd let me know, huh?
Oh, hand for hand. Okay, Hanrahan. I know I should have called you immediately, but I was worried about the Kirkland woman. With all the department's budget problems these days, I didn't want to add to your burdens. Yeah. Tomorrow. Yeah. At 10. Okay. Bye-bye. Hanrahan wants me to go in and see him tomorrow and give him a statement at 10.
You have any information on the 2 contestants in the Mulholland Grand Prix?
Well, the lad's shaking down the car, but it was stolen. And he doesn't think he'll turn up anything.
What is it with you? You go out on a simple, innocuous case, and you end up almost getting yourself killed. How do you explain that?
Gee, I don't know, Kronsky. But I must be doing something right.
Okay, get to it.
Get to it. Get to what?
The favor.
Oh, the favor. Well, if you insist. I'd like some information on James McKittrick. As a fellow attorney, it should be a snap for you to give me a complete rundown on him, right?
Right. What do I get in return for this favor?
What do you want?
Some sleep. Lock the door when you go out.
Lock the door when I go out. Lock the door when I go out.
And you bungled the whole thing from beginning to end.
What do you intend to do? Walk out on our enterprise? Cut and run? Return the $1.5 million you've got tucked away in that Swiss bank?
Why don't we quit now, Alan? We've got more than enough money already.
Yeah, we're not going to quit, Stella. We're going to play this out to the finish.
But why?
Tell her. You're a lawyer. Tell her that murder is an extraditable offense in every country in the world. Oh, we're not going to run, Stella, and neither is Mr. McKittrick. Because no one, not the police, not Mr. Helm, has one shred of hard evidence against us.
But after last night...
Nothing happened last night that can be tied to us. A man in Mr. Helm's profession undoubtedly has many enemies. Before he can sort them all out, I'm sure one of them will have caught up with him.
I don't have much faith left in your guarantees, Grant.
Perhaps not. But cling to what little you do have. It's all you've got.
You apparently do not have a very efficient answering service, Mr. Helm. I left a message for you an hour ago.
I know. Poor Ethel is growing more forgetful all the time. Would you mind repeating the message?
Mr. McKittrick had to hurry off to an appointment and asked me to tell you that he couldn't find the file you asked for.
Oh, that's too bad.
He said that either Mr. Ray wasn't a party to the adoption, or he may have destroyed the file before he retired. I'm sorry you've wasted your time.
Oh, Miss Miller, I never consider time spent chatting with an attractive woman as time wasted.
Thank you.
It's a real pleasure. Thank you very much.
Aren't they lovely?
Lovely? Oh, yes. They're absolutely beautiful.
Very rare.
Uh-huh.
Mrs. Mayberry sent them.
Mrs. Mayberry?
Uh-huh. Althea Mayberry? Mr. McKittrick handles her estate. You've surely heard of the Mayberry Gardens.
Hi.
Hi. What am I doing here when I should be working?
Helping a friend in need?
Try again.
I said please.
Okay, forget it. What do you want?
Tell me about McKittrick.
Well, there's not too much to tell. Specializes in tax law.
Mm-hmm.
And when Sam Ray retired, he inherited one of his most important clients.
George Mayberry?
Mm-hmm. Ray was just a run-of-the-mill studio lawyer until he started representing Mayberry.
Terrific, Kronsky. You got more?
Yeah.
Well, let's soak up some peace and tranquility as we talk, huh?
Take over for me. I'll be right back. I have to go up to the house.
When did Ray start to represent Mayberry?
About a year before Mayberry married a young starlet named Althea Morrison.
Althea Morrison. There's a photo on Sam Ray's desk signed, "With thanks, Althea." Thanks for what, I wonder?
Well, maybe he introduced her to Ray.
Well, maybe for taking an unwanted child off her hands.
You know, this is as close as anyone's seen her since she had her stroke.
How does McKittrick manage her estate?
He has power of attorney.
I wish I could figure a way to get to her. I tell you, Kronsky, if you were able to keep that guard's attention for a minute or two, I just might be able to get up there.
Consider it done. Hi. I wonder if you could help me. I'm writing a cookbook. I call it Food from Flowers. Daffodil Delight, baked begonia, and now I have an idea for moonglow marmalade. Could you tell me who I could talk to about it?
Well, the head gardener, I guess. You'll find him in the greenhouse.
Thank you. Moonglow marmalade on my crocus nasturtium bread.
Mr. Grant?
What is it?
This guy, Helm, he's in the public gardens.
Oh?
Well, what do you want us to do about it?
Well, alert the other men. If he tries to get to Mrs. Mayberry, grab him. Bring him to me.
Okay. Hold it!
Helm tried to get to the house. The guards are after him. There's only one way he can leave now, and that's over the fence. If he tries, he's in for a shock.
Where did you come from?
Well, I kept circling around. I figured you gotta come out somewhere, somehow.
Good thinking.
Oh, Matt, I gotta tell you something.
What?
Tarzan, you ain't.
Jane, you is.
Mm-hmm.
Leave it to me, Mr. McKittrick. I'll handle everything, Mr. McKittrick. Well, now I'm going to handle this my way.
What way is that?
Pick up the Kirkland girl. Take her to the house.
What?
I'll meet you there.
Then what?
Just do as I say.
What about signing income tax returns and stock certificates when they're sold?
Well, power of attorney could cover the tax returns, and thank you. Stock certificates could be held in a street name.
A what name?
Street name of a brokerage house.
Ah. Hello, Helm here.
It's Amanda Miller. Patricia's gone.
Gone? Where?
I saw Rolls pull away from the curb. A chauffeur was driving, and Patricia was in the back seat. I got the license number.
Good move, Amanda. But I don't think I'm going to need it.
What's that?
Rope.
Rope. Why didn't I think of that? A rope.
She was beautiful.
Yes, she was.
May I see her now?
See her? I'm sorry, I'm afraid that's impossible.
But I don't understand. I mean, he said that I could
Well, there must have been some misunderstanding.
Well, why can't I see her?
Because she's ill. A heart condition. Now, the shock might...
A shock? You mean she doesn't even know I'm in the house?
No,
Well, then why did you bring me here?
because I wanted to tell you about her.
Well, let her tell me about her.
Miss Kirkland. Now, listen to me. Found herself alone, unmarried, and with a baby to provide for. She had no money, no job. If she could have foreseen what would happen in the next year, that she'd be placed under contract to a studio and meet George Mayberry, she would have acted differently. But when you were born, she was confused, frightened.
And so she gave me away.
With the greatest reluctance, Miss Kirkland, and out of love for you.
I'll believe that when I hear it from her.
She won't see you.
Ask her. Tell her that I'm here. I'm not leaving here until you do.
All right, Miss Kirkland, I'll speak to her. I hope you're prepared to accept the consequences of your demand.
I am.
Well?
I spoke to her, but she feels that there's no point to be served by the two of you meeting after all these years.
You're lying.
However, she did authorize me to write you a check
I don't want her money.
for $50,000 as a small token of her. Stop her. Stop her!
Mrs. Mayberry.
Mother? Mother.
Althea Mayberry's dead, isn't she? How?
Stroke. 2 years ago. We were the only ones that had seen her for years. She's buried in the rose garden.
He pretended she was alive and milked her estate. Let's go. Let's go.
I'm fine, Matt.
Are you sure?
I'm positive. I'm really glad I found out about Althea. Even happier that she didn't keep me. I'll always think of the Kirklands as my real parents after all.
I'm happy to hear that, Pat. Now, you keep in touch, will you?
Yeah, I will. And Matt.
What?
Thanks.
Forget it.
Bye.
She okay?
Just fine.
You know, when I was a kid, I sometimes thought I might be adopted.
Well, a lot of kids go through that.
Yeah. But there's still moments when I really wonder if I really am a Kronsky.
Want me to find out for you?
How?
Come here. Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're a Kronsky. Oh, yes.